Mariners win 3-2. They take the first of the 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox, who are not the team that they just played, but they did play the Chicago White Sox and they beat them. They improved to 34-34. I'm literally staring at the logo. What is wrong with you, Chris Crawford? Don't answer that. But they win. They've now won 3 of 4. Very nice start to this homestand. We're kind of in the middle of it, but you've avoided the disaster at the very least, and you have a chance to have a really special, nice homestand with this win. Let's talk about how it happened. Very low scoring affair for the first 4 innings. In fact, no run score in the first 4 innings. Gavin Sheets just gets a home run to clear the center field fence to make it 1-0. But in the 5th, Teoscar Hernandez, after Julio doubles, he does the same thing to make it 1-1. Andrew Benintendi finally connects on his first homer of the year for the Red Sox to make it 2-1. But in the 6th, the Mariners bounce right back and answer. Ty France singles home JP Crawford. France tries to get to second. Big shock there. That didn't work out, but it guaranteed the run, so that was okay. And then in the 7th, Teoscar Hernandez blisters a baseball over the center field fence to make it 3-2. Mariners bullpen, which we'll talk about, outstanding to give the Mariners the 3-2 victory. We'll start with some negatives. The bottom of the lineup really struggled today. Raleigh did draw a walk, but over 3 just... the biggest negative I think you can take from this game is that the Mariners scored 3 runs and missed a ton of middle pitches today. Either swung through them or fouled them off or just didn't get enough hard contact on them. Mariners should have scored a lot more runs tonight than they did. A lot more runs tonight than they did. Luckily, didn't matter, but it is worth pointing out. Jose Caballero also draws a walk, but struggled. Mike Ford and AJ Pollock were useless. 0 for 4. I don't think anybody on the bottom of the lineup picked up a hit. Nope, they sure did not. There's your negative for the game. And the frustrating thing is, especially bases loaded, big dumper at the plate, a curveball that's right down the middle of the plate. I'm sure he was looking fastball, but still a pitch that should be absolutely clobbered. And unfortunately, he strikes out instead. Should have at least gotten a sacrifice fly out of a pitch like that. It was an awful, awful pitch. Young hitters sometimes struggle. And Rowley's played really well the last couple of days, so tough to go too harsh on him. Want to see him play better. Want to see more consistency, but it is worth pointing out this is his second full season. These things are going to happen. Same for Caballero. You're going to see ups and downs. Strikes out twice tonight. Average down to 238, but we care more about that 392 on base percentage, don't we? Yeah, a lot more. Positives, there's a ton. I know Woo ends up giving up 2 runs. If it's possible to be a lot better than allowing 2 runs, Bryan Woo was. That was the best I've seen him pitch by a long shot. I've watched some minor league starts. I've seen him in spring training. There's been some good signs. I was really impressed by what Woo did in this game. Really impressed. And they need it. They need it. The Mariners rely on their starting pitching as much, I think, as any team in baseball. And they need Bryan Woo to be good. I'm not saying that you're going to see a ton of these starts. He's a rookie. You're going to see some ups and downs, like we just talked about with the young bads in the lineup. But really nice to see, and you see what he's capable of. It's also worth pointing out the White Sox stink. They're not a good baseball team. I was kind of wondering if, and don't get me wrong, I still think this guy sucks. Swear number like 13. And it's not really a swear. I just don't like saying it. I was kind of hoping maybe the White Sox were so bad because Tony La Russa. No, they're a poorly constructed roster. Poorly constructed roster. And the only reason they are still in this thing is because that division is hot garbage. Hot garbage. But I was really impressed with what Woo did. 9 strikeouts tonight, 5 2/3 innings of 2-run baseball. You could argue that maybe you should have pulled him for Benintendi. Benintendi has shown literally no power all year. I did not mind that decision. But it would have been nice maybe to have him exit with a little bit more success. But, glad he didn't get the L for a lot of reasons. Number 1, the Mariners didn't lose. And number 2, It's good for his confidence. You know, it stinks to pick up the loss when you pitch well, and he pitched really well tonight. Bullpen was outstanding. Matt Brash. I also have to tell you this. I love how Scott Service managed this game. I love leaving Brash in for multiple innings. I love that they let him stay in the game even after he gave up some damage, a couple of singles. Once again, not exactly scorched, which is just the case for Matt Brash. And you saw that unbelievable swing and miss stuff. And I also love that he left him in for the bottom of the lineup. You don't need to bring in Munoz for Elvis Andrews, hopefully. But Brash was great. Munoz was great. Seawald was great. I mean, that's the dream, folks. That 7-8-9 competes with anybody and maybe beats anybody. You're going to look at Matt Brash's 4.18 ERA and say something stupid. Though that ERA is not indicative to how talented he is or how well he's pitched this year. So, stop it. Stop it. A lot of positives with the offense, too. I know it was only they only scored 3 runs, but Julio gets a couple of hits, stings a double, scores that big run. Ty France with a couple of hits, big RBI single. Been just fine. And I don't think we've talked enough about how good Teoscar Hernandez has been in the month of June. He came into today with an OPS of like 1.022, and it went up today, certainly. Hitting a double and a homer will certainly improve your OPS unless you're just having a college baseball type of year. Not even then, a high school year, really. He's mostly been good. The defense has been better than I expected. He had a rough go of it in May, and so in the early part of April, too. But for the most part, Teoscar Hernandez has been a really solid player, and they need it. We talked about it with Woo. It's even more true with Hernandez. He has to be good. If the Mariners are a playoff team, Teoscar Hernandez has to be good. Not just good. He has to be a well above average player. He does. The Mariners are relying on him to be that. Love seeing Kelnick get on 3 times. Suarez a couple times on base. Still can't believe some of the stupid stuff I saw about Eugenio Suarez yesterday and Wednesday. I try so hard to nope, not today. Not today. But you're sometimes nope. No. Good win. Good strong win. Now, here's an interesting thing. This win takes them to 34-34 on the year, which is 68 games. You might remember that the Mariners last year at the 68 game point were 10 games under 500. So this is obviously better. But do you feel better about their playoff chances right now? I hate to be negative after a really good win, but I'm just curious. Do you feel better than you did at this point last year? I feel slightly better. I'm not gaga over the chances of this team making the postseason, but I feel slightly better. And I'll take that. I'll take slightly better because last year, I'll just be honest, and maybe it was an overreaction. I don't know if it was or not. Last year at this point, I was about as low on the Seattle Mariners as you could possibly get. Just because I was frustrated, folks. Like, you haven't made the postseason in 21 years. I didn't love their offseason. And then a 14-game winning streak changed everything. But you can't rely on that. But they're playing a lot better now. They've looked so much better at home than they have on the road. Kind of been the opposite of the Kraken, who I will talk about from time to time on this channel. There's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, do you feel infinitely better? Do you feel 5 games better than last year? I don't because of the teams ahead of them. But I don't know. This is a good start. All you can do is just beat the teams that are in front of you. And for the last 4 of 6 games, I believe they've done just that, and that'll play. That will certainly play. By the way, I apologize for the button clicking. I got a new laptop like 2 months ago, and I like it, but it's loud as heck. And I've tried like going through settings to make it quieter, but I apologize. It sounds like this is that's loud. That's annoying. So I apologize for it, but you know, I don't have I don't have any type of notes on this thing. I only have the ESPN box score and I have their schedule coming up. And speaking of which, so tomorrow, Logan Gilbert, Luke Giolito, good matchup. Good matchup. Giolito's been off and on for the last couple of years, but when he's on, he's certainly capable of good things. Same for Logan Gilbert. A little more on than Giolito has been over the last couple of years, but we've seen Gilbert have his issues too. Really nice to get this win, and would it be nice to get a sweep? And that's the best part about when you win the first game of a series is the sweep becomes so much more of a realistic thing. You know, when you lose that first game, it's like, well, you got to win the next 2 to have a successful series, unless you're playing a 4-gamer, which the Mariners just have not played a whole heck of a lot of this year. Kind of crazy. When's the last time the Mariners played a 4-game series? Have they? Oakland. That's right. The 4-game sweep. Won't be sharing any more of my thoughts about Oakland tonight, but Rod Manfred, you're just a piece of work, man. You are a piece of work. So yeah, good win against a bad team, but I don't care. Wins are wins. And they looked good doing it. Now, can they do this again? This is now 3 of 4 games and 4 of 6 that you've looked like a good baseball team. And it's worth pointing out on Wednesday, you had 3 home runs around from you. I think that's worth pointing out for sure. But can they keep it up? Can they do this? Can they go on this hot run that they need? Hope so. Hope so. And this is a nice start to it. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. Follow the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'll have a live show tomorrow at 10 a.m. with my buddy Ryan Boyer. We're going to be looking at some fantasy baseball stuff like players that got drafted later than we expected that are off to hot starts and whether we believe in it or not. That's a lot of fun. Sports sometimes have a new episode coming. Usually I go every other week, but I missed a couple weeks this time. So we're going to go back-to-back weeks, but I'll have a couple of episodes coming out. I'd really appreciate you checking that out. And always check out Molly Watt Monday because that's a hoot and a holler. And thank you to the good folks of Simply Seattle. Speaking of them, if anyone's interested in sponsoring the show, it would not be expensive. And if you want to get your product out there, my email is available on twitter.com or you can find it. But I am definitely interested. Definitely interested. We're getting closer and closer to being at subscriber content, like qualifying for that stuff. But in the meantime, if you want to sponsor some content, holler at your boy. But in the meantime, enjoy these Mariners wins because they've looked much better on this homestand, and it pleases the heck out of me, but it pleases the heck out of you too.